How's it going, everyone? Welcome into the process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I'm your host, Justin Smith, Director of Recruiting and Managing Editor here at Touchdown, Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on our YouTube channel. On this episode of the process, I actually want to take a look, a deep dive into the Crimson Tide's 2026 quarterback recruiting efforts. I talked about this on the last episode of the process earlier this week when talking about Jared Curtis, the five-star quarterback out of Nashville, Tennessee. When discussing the Crimson Tide's 2026 quarterback recruiting efforts, I pointed out the fact that it is always a challenge when you're coming off of a recruiting class where you signed a top prospect. And when you take a look at Keelon Russell, the Crimson Tide signed a five-star quarterback who multiple recruiting sites consider him to be the number one quarterback in this 2025 recruiting class. One even calls him the highest rated recruit the Crimson Tide have ever signed. So the Crimson Tide have a talented quarterback in Tuscaloosa with high expectations in Russell. With that in mind, like any other program, Alabama is not a outlier in this particular situation. They're going to be faced with the challenge of it impacting their next recruiting class. But the Crimson Tide have shown that they are going to follow the Nick Saban approach. They're going to take at least one quarterback in each recruiting class, it seems, because they offered two 2026 quarterbacks on last night. One of those offers was not Keisean Henderson, a 2026 five-star quarterback who's currently committed to the Houston Cougars. I had an opportunity to see Henderson in action at the Under Armour Future 50 event over the summer, and he was really, really impressive. A really athletic kid who I think is just basically honing in on playing quarterback right now because he actually is so athletic. He could be a receiver. He could be a defensive back at the next level if he wanted to. That's why some recruiting sites had him listed as an athlete very early on. But I think it is very clear now that he's going to be a quarterback at the next level. And if you guys watch his film, because the film that your guys are watching right now is from the Under Armour Future 50 event, we went out to IMG Academy and got this footage. But if you were able to watch his high school highlight film from his junior season, you're going to be able to see that he is a dual threat quarterback, a true dual threat quarterback. I almost want to tag him with the category of being an improviser, because that seemed to be where he is really, really dangerous when he's playing outside of the pocket and improvising and doing a lot of great things. Strong arm, can throw the ball deep down the field, great accuracy, can make a lot of the different throws while he's improvising as well. Like I said, the Crimson Tide offered him on last night. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a guy that he wants to get on campus, possibly during the spring or possibly for an official visit. Of course, the Crimson Tide flipped Russell from SMU. Could they do it with Henderson? We shall see, but Keisean Henderson is now a new target for the Crimson Tide at the quarterback position. Derek Zammit is another 2026 quarterback who picked up an offer from the Tide on last night. Zammit is a product of New Jersey. In watching his film, he's a 6 foot, 190-pound quarterback who can make plays and make throws on the run. I think that's one of the things that really stood out to me the moment that I watched his film. I saw him being able to work from the pocket like you guys saw on that last throw, but I also saw him being able to move around and throw passes from like different angles and throw accurate passes, like that drop in the bucket right there. That was really, really impressive, rolling out to the left, resetting and throwing from that very difficult angle and dropping the ball in the bucket as he did once again right there. So Zammit was really impressive when I watched his film, and I can see why the Crimson Tide extended that offer on last night for the New Jersey product out of DePaul Catholic in New Jersey. So the Crimson Tide are going to join programs like Washington, Mississippi State, Kansas State, just some of the schools who have offered Zammit, similar to Henderson. I think he's a guy who they're going to want to get on campus during the spring, also get on campus in the summer as well, possibly for an official visit to try to possibly get him to Tuscaloosa. I think the Crimson Tide are going to try their hands at a couple of different quarterbacks at this particular point in this recruiting cycle, because similar to every other position, you're going to over recruit. You're going to basically tap on the window, check the temperature for see where these guys are at, see if they are interested in your school and what their interest level is, and see if they are a guy that you possibly can add to your program. Like I said, they are presented with that challenge of already having Russell in that class before, but I do think other schools have done it, and Alabama has done it too. It is possible to land another quarterback after you had a great one, but it all depends on who is going to step up and take that challenge. You want to take on that journey of having to battle it out in Tuscaloosa with a Russell or another guy who's going to be recruited behind them, because I just see Kalen DeBoer and his staff taking that same approach to recruiting quarterback position that Nick Saban did, getting at least one quarterback in each recruiting cycle. The Crimson Tide currently do not have one at the moment. A guy who I discussed earlier in the show, basically giving you guys a preview that I was going to talk about him, is Landon Duckworth. He does not have an offer from the Crimson Tide just yet, but this is a guy who we at Touchdown Alabama really like, out of Jackson High School in Jackson, Alabama. We've had an opportunity to see Duckworth in action for several years now. This footage that you guys are seeing now was from the Under Armour All-America game, not All-America game, but the Under Armour Next Atlanta camp stop earlier this month. He was just as impressive as he's always been at that particular camp, at that particular showing. He was really impressed with having 51 total touchdowns for Jackson High School during the 2024 football season, leading them to a state championship. He's a dual threat quarterback, physical guy. I saw him play basketball a couple of days ago on a live stream when Jackson High School was competing in the state championship, state playoff for the state of Alabama. He was dunking on everybody. Him and his teammates were dunking in the half court, just dunking and hit anytime that they wanted to. So this just showed how athletic this kid is, along with his ability to rip the football in, along with his ability to be this dual threat athletic quarterback. Like I said earlier in the show, Georgia, Ole Miss, just some of the programs have already offered Duckworth, who's just this big 6'4", 6'5" quarterback out of Jackson High School in Jackson, Alabama. Will the Crimson Tide offer him? I think he's a guy to at least keep in your mind, and keeping your mind for Alabama fans to at least know at this particular point in time, because I think he's really talented. It wouldn't surprise me if the Crimson Tide throw their hat in the ring for this talented quarterback prospect. But that is what I wanted to talk about on this quick episode of the process. Wanted to give you guys basically a quick outlook and just basically update the Crimson Tide's 2026 quarterback recruiting efforts. I think the main thing that we've learned basically over the last 24 hours when it comes to the quarterback position for the Crimson Tide is that they want one in this 26 class after landing Russell in the 2025 class a year earlier. Of course, Jared Curtis is a guy who basically started this whole conversation, because earlier this week, he was the only uncommitted quarterback who the Crimson Tide seemed to be in a decent position with. I wouldn't say they were in this great position with, but they were at least in the mix with them. And he was the only uncommitted one that we could put into that conversation. Of course, Henderson is committed to Houston, but we could put him in that conversation. And now with Zammit being uncommitted, we could put him in that conversation as well. It remains to be seen if Duckworth will get an Alabama offer, but he's a kid whose game I really like at Touchdown Alabama Recruiting, which is a separate entity to Touchdown Alabama. We will be continuing to highlight Duckworth because we feel like he is one of the more talented prospects inside the state of Alabama. But thank you guys so much for joining me today on our YouTube channel. As always, I am Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting and Managing Editor for Touchdown Alabama. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Subscribe to the notification bell to be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Process.